Welcome to another edition of Career Conversations. I'm Herda-Rapp. I'm the campus executive at UW-Stevens Point at Wausau. And in this installment, we're going to talk nursing. And joining me today is Christian Roth. Hi, Christian.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Before we jump into the questions, could you just maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing currently?
Yep. Super quick background. I finished my BSN last week, a week and a half ago. I've been working as a nurse now for 4 years at Aspirus in Wausau in the medical surgical ICU. In total, I've been at Aspirus for 7 years, and I just started a new travel contract in northern Wisconsin through an Ascension hospital.
Awesome. Congratulations on graduating.
Thank you.
That's got to feel good.
Oh, it's incredible. It feels I got delayed a little bit with COVID from last semester, so I just had one class to wrap up this last fall.
Good. Sounds like it's working out anyway, though.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's jump into the first question, and that is, when and how did you discover your purpose? How did you become interested in this career choice?
So it's always interesting explaining this to many people when everyone asks. It was my mom who kind of pushed me into this career. She had a surgery when I was in like high school age, and she said, I think you should get into nursing. At that point, I had no real direction at what I wanted to do when I was out of high school. So I took my CNA course when I was in high school. I got a job at Aspirus between my junior and senior year, started working as a CNA. And that's when I really found the passion for caring for patients. And it just was easy for me. I really enjoyed my sciences. So I figured, why not? I didn't really have anything else planned. I think nursing was a good step. Being in Wausau at the time, NTC and their RN ADN program was very it was I'm trying to think of the words, but it was a very attractive program at the time for proximity purposes and for what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Good. So could you say a little bit more about your path to this career choice? You said you started as a CNA. How did that prepare you for this line of work then?
So I think the CNA background was huge for helping me with my nursing degree, specifically with the ADN program, any ADN program, and really any nursing program in general. I tell all the CNAs that I work with on a daily basis that are in nursing school that this is the best experience that you're going to get is to be a CNA. There's a lot of nurses that I went to school with who had no CNA experience, and you could definitely tell that they just were not, were a step below, all those that did at least have some CNA experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. What qualities or proficiencies do you think someone in this line of work needs to have to be successful?
I think you have to be very personable, very approachable. I'm a very social person. I engage with a lot of conversation. I'm not afraid to, just start talking with people, asking questions. And that's specific with nursing. You have to ask a lot of questions. I think we'll kind of touch base with that a little bit later too, is you have to be able to, whatever you don't know, you have to kind of dive in, and everyone learns a little bit differently, but I learned hands-on. So for me, it was just, kind of trying to absorb everything I could and, just dive deep into all kinds of elements.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. So what advice would you give to a student who might be thinking about this as a career, or someone just entering nursing as a career?
I know most programs have the general requirement of you have to have the CNA certification, but I definitely think that any type of CNA experience is almost more helpful than some of even your, I hate to say it, but even some of your nursing experience, because you get to spend time with nurses and talking with them about their path, or kind of just learning at a slower pace without any requirements like in a school setting. But definitely I would highly consider the CNA course and getting some experience, even if it's 6 months. It doesn't matter if it's a nursing home or if it's a hospital setting. I mean, it could be in a clinic, and just to be able to be around the people that you will eventually be around as a nurse, helping out, volunteering for flu shot clinics. Volunteering is another big thing too. I guess we can touch on something I didn't do a whole lot of, but I was fortunate enough to get into the hospital right away. So I have volunteered a lot of my time through school, and on committees to, further my own education and, assist others with those that were coming in and how they could, what they could do to get to the next steps of the nursing program.
What do you think the benefit of that volunteering is?
I think volunteering is huge, in the realm that it helps you stand out for, resumes, but most importantly, it's the benefits of just like exposure, just being out there. Even if we had volunteers in our ICU the whole last summer and the year before, just doing some simple, charting, putting charts away, paperwork, kind of some general cleaning stuff. But the patients, or sorry, the people that were volunteering, they were able to, once I was able to talk with them and find out that they were in nursing or going into nursing, I tried to, show them more, do more with them, even though that might have been beyond what they were needing or able to do, just to try to help give them that exposure. I think that's the biggest thing. You never know what it's going to be like until you shadow. I put in hundreds and hundreds of hours shadowing different professions within nursing, nurse practitioners, managers, just to understand, what was something that I wanted to get into. Was management some type of thing, even like my areas of expertise, cardiac versus surgical. So the volunteering definitely helps, just kind of like I said, with the exposure to what you might see.
Good. For those of us that don't really know a lot about nursing, could you tell us the difference between nursing with a 2-year degree and nursing with a 4-year degree, and then options that might follow that?
So I hate to say there's no difference between the 2 and the 4-year degree, but in some realms there is. When I started in the ICU, I started with 12 new grads alongside me. These were students that I went to school with for the last 2 years of my associate program, and they were students that were just finishing BSN programs. You start at the same wages, and you start at the same with the same knowledge base here as new nurses. I think the ADM programs are more or less your crash course, just straight up focused on nursing and what we can do to get you to pass your NCLEX. You still take the same test for each programs. The benefits of having a bachelor degree is what's going to kind of help you advance further into nursing if you want to progress onto grad school or get into management positions. I'm not sure if that's something, kind of we'll talk about a little bit later too, is like, why did I go for my BSN? So, you have to kind of ask yourself what you want to do, and, the stepping stones that you might need to go to get to where you want to go.
Mhm. So ADN is the associate degree in nursing, and
Correct.
then
Yep.
and now you have your BSN, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So then, what do you think is next for you and your progression, your career growth?
So I've always had grad school on my mind. Like I said, when I talked about volunteering and shadowing and putting in hundreds of hours, I shadowed nurse anesthetists, CRNAs. I shadowed nurse practitioners, APNPs. I shadowed PAs, physician assistants as well. And I looked at every different realm because, nurse practitioners kind of stem off of nursing, and PAs follow a little bit more of the medical, MD route, and they kind of have that side of thinking. So I wanted to kind of see what was interesting to me, but that needing my BSN or getting my BSN was often a requirement, as a stepping stone to get to those grad level programs. I want to say if I could go back, I would do things differently. For sure, I'd get my BSN, but I might have gotten it in a different way. I can quick touch base on the 1+2+1 program that UWSP just started, with the combination of the tech schools, doing 1 year at Stevens Point, 2 year at a tech school, get your RN, and then finish your 4th year at UWSP to finish your BSN. That's tremendous, tremendous program. I've mentored students through that program, and I wish that was around when I was going through school, because I would have done that in a heartbeat. That's, I wanted to get my BSN all along. And like I had said earlier, NTC was so close to me, and it was just so easy. At that time, Stevens Point had no nursing whatsoever. So the closest school to me was either Eau Claire or Oshkosh for 4 year. And in reality, the 1 mile bike ride it was down the road from my house to go to NTC it was just a no-brainer.
Mhm. Good. We might have touched on this a little bit, but it's maybe worth asking again. But early in your career explorations, what's one thing that you wish somebody would have told you?
Ask more questions. I think even like I said, being a very social and personable person, I don't have any issues, but I always talk with the CNAs, like I had said, kind of mentoring them and telling them, you guys, don't be afraid to ask if you can do something or jump in or have more opportunities, because that's just going to better you in the long run. And I think I would have even taken more opportunities, done more volunteering. There's always, Stevens Point's always asking for volunteers for flu clinics or all kinds of other things. Everything looks, I always like to say, looks good on your resume, kind of pad your resume, because when schools see that you have hundreds of hours of volunteer service and you've worked on committees, you've done all these different things for for schools, for public health in general, that you truly are more desirable, and you might that might be your the ticket to stand out, when compared to somebody else, for example, for grad school entrance, when it becomes a little more challenging and more competitive.
Mhm. Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell us about your career path and how you discovered your purpose?
If you love your sciences, I think nursing is definitely something to consider. I've definitely pushed a couple of my friends into it who I would have never thought probably would have been nurses or gotten to nursing, but they really enjoyed their sciences. And I think nursing is such a huge career. So people don't understand that there's more to nursing than just hospital nursing or clinic nursing. I have family and friends that are school nurses, nurses for organizations like large companies who do like an employee health. There's so many different options. Talking about like I took a position as a nurse at a school camp, for a summer. So there's like, you can do anything you want. And it's like my school nursing or my camp nursing was like, let's just go hang out with the kids and go canoeing, kayaking. And if they need a Band-Aid, you give them a Band-Aid, but that's nursing. I had a nursing degree and I got to play outside, so I feel like I'm a kid at heart, and I always will be. And so I always like to have fun. Um, I guess one more thing I would like to say is I have a pretty good sense of humor. You always got to have humor um, in your lives to just kind of keep everything light, especially in nursing. Nursing is depressing at times. I guess we'll touch on COVID real quickly as well. You're seeing people die day in and day out. When I work in COVID ICUs, you kind of have to be able to have joke around a little bit with your coworkers and keep the mood light, just so you kind of keep your own sanity. But you definitely ask a lot of questions, have humor, and get yourself involved with volunteering or just shadowing, working with people. I would love to go to work every day and have someone shadowing me because they're wanting to get into nursing. And I'll tell you the truth about it. I'll be very honest and tell you, it's not always pretty, but to just be open. And that's what people want. People want what it's at its face value.
I appreciate your openness and talking about
Yeah.
all of this. And It's helped quite a lot. I have one final question that I
Yes.
like to close with. And this is just more general, but if you could go back in time and have a conversation with your younger self, what would you tell him?
So I always say to myself, I wish I could do my BSN path differently. And I only say that because I didn't have the options then as I did now. But I think I wish I had just explored all my options. And I think, you know, I did settle for NTC and that was a great decision. But between NTC and my completion of my BSN program, I didn't look further into things or in depth. I didn't ask as many questions as I would have now. Like I said, I ask people all kinds of questions, always emailing, texting, calling, because I'll just get the answers that I need. And, you know, I'll ask brutal questions like, this is, you know, this is what I want to know. And I understand it might not be the answer I want to hear, but that way, you know, at least I figure out what I need to hear and I go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing
You're
your
welcome.
experiences with us. And we're glad your dog could join as well.
Yes, thank you for having me. She's always wants to be part of it.
Good. And thanks to our viewers for their suggestions for both careers and individuals to interview. I'm hoping they'll send more suggestions and feedback. We have an email that's established now associated with the career conversations. So they can send any feedback to career.conversations@uwsp.edu. All right.
Always open to answering questions too. So
Awesome.
if you guys have questions you want to ask, or you want to pick my brain, I can always give my contact information out, and I'm more than willing to talk, text, email, whatever, meet up in person and discuss, you know, options or just kind of discuss paths. So
Excellent.
I always like encouraging people.
Great. Thank you, Christian.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.